Hey, what's up, everybody? Uh, Welcome to the channel. This is Davo, and we are live in my studio now. This is a different backdrop, and I have rearranged some stuff. It's just not ready to show yet, so I'm on a green screen. So I hope that doesn't annoy the heck out of everybody. But that's not the purpose of this video. We are going to be talking about real estate value, and because it's actually kind of inspired by this last video that I posted. In the comments, we were talking. Anyway, we'll get to that. Anyway, welcome. If you're in the chat, go ahead and ahead and say hi. My friend Lance is here. Looks like Tom's here. What's up? And so, wait, is that? Oh, it's Tan. Sorry, Tan Skim. I don't see very well. I usually wear glasses. Some people don't know this, but anyway, welcome. Go ahead and say hi when you're in the chat, and we will answer questions at the end. And yeah, let's just get to it. This video, we're going to talk about how value is relative and even more so in Italy. Hopefully, if you can't hear my audio, let me know. I assume everything is going well. I can see all the things are going well. So let's start off here. So everybody knows about Italia's €1 homes, and that's a very popular subject when you think about Italian real estate right now. And it makes sense. Hi, Jorge. Hi, Bryce. And Gabe. Cool. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Gabe. So um, the €1 homes like took the world by storm, and we're selling properties throughout Italy for €1. That's the whole idea behind this video, right? Well, when that was announced, interestingly enough, everyone started thinking that all Italian real estate was only €1. And we're gonna pop in. I'm gonna pop down here and show you a map. I'm gonna actually show you where the locations of these €1 homes are. And that's not the topic of today's video, but it's very important to understand. Okay, you can see all over Italy, but most of it's concentrated in Sicily, that there are really apparently cheap real estate in these areas, right? But you can see it spread all over Italy, from all the way down here next to Lecce, where beautiful place, I love it. Kind of up here next to Napoli, all the way up to even Switzerland. There's a little dot called Borgo Mezzavalle that I visited, and thanks for letting me know, Lance, that the audio is working good. Even over here in Sardinia, and so I don't know about you, but when before I moved here, I didn't know a whole lot about the regions of Italy. I knew there was Rome, I knew there was Milan, I knew there was various other locations like Tuscany, but I think that the majority of foreigners always have that image of Tuscany or the image of southern Italy, like the Amalfi Coast, or even perhaps Sicily, Sardinia, in their mind when they think about Italy. And so Italy has it's really unique that it has so many biomes, I guess you would say. There's the mountains, there's the deserts, there's the hills. And if you like the mountains, you have a perfect fit here. If you like the islands, you know what I mean? There's so many options to choose from. Well, talking about value tied into these locations, you can see the island of Sicily is selling for cheap, is what it looks like right now. But these are basically just communities that have all jumped on that €1 home community initiative because it looks like it's working, and it's good for a lot of them. Like Sambuca went really well. Musumeli, they have a consistent attention to it. Ganji has had people purchase, and Salemi over here, they're back on the map. But at the beginning, from what I've read in Italian, they were the first. Because basically the mayor there was the first one to talk about doing a €1 home initiative, and then he actually resigned. So I don't know. There was another news article that was contrary to that, so I have to find out the real story there. But what it looks like is that Italy is just straight up cheap. But I want to kind of knock that out of the ballpark a little bit, saying it's not Italy that's cheap, it's various locations in Italy that seems to be really cheap real estate. But we know very well that when your homes do cost a bit of money to renovate and actually transfer and everything like that, it is a legitimate thing, and it does help the communities to, uh, grow economically. And various like contractors, architects, and engineers end up having work at that point. Now let's kind of move on because what I want to talk about is I went up to the Dolomites or Le Dolomiti, and I found this hotel, and the price tag was like 600,000 for this five-floor building on the top of a hill. And in the comments, we were talking about the value, and some of the subscribers, they jumped in there, and some had like, hey, that's really cheap. Hey, that's too expensive. Everybody's got this weird, I don't say weird, they have their own personal opinion about what is valuable, right? Some of them went and used points of like, look, across the street is ugly. There's like no store there. So there's this whole scale or this spectrum of opinions when it comes to what real estate is worth. Now, I always stand by, I'm probably not your traditional investor, based on, just what I like to discuss, but value is kind of, it depends on the person that's purchasing the property. Now, if you're talking about a property for investing, you want a cash flow, then you need to focus on, a really good cash flowing property. If you want to find one that gives you immediate net worth, then you need to focus that direction as well. Now, I'm going to pull up this for a second and kind of give us an idea of, and we're going to look at maps a lot today. This is Zillow, right? And I've opened up Zillow in a few locations in the United States showing, for example, New York, this is Manhattan, and I searched for houses, basically houses that are in the same size as what you would commonly find here in Italy, and are comparing prices. So New York, houses that are between 1,000 and 1,250 square feet. I would say that's a pretty common size of an apartment here in Italy. Now, apartments and houses, there's kind of like that weird argument there, what we're focusing on. These are houses. So you can actually see that there's literally nothing in Manhattan for that size for sale. And outside in the other outskirts here, we have like 340,000, 700,000, 1.5 million, 1.3 million, right? So most of the real estate is well above 600,000. There are some that are dropped between 3 and 400,000 here. Ventura, California, we're jumping to the other side of the world, or the United States anyway. And doing that exact same filter for real estate on Zillow, you get 1.2 million, 500,000. Okay. So these are similar types of markets because of how many people live there, what kind of work opportunities there are. Now, there's just down the street at Santa Barbara, the prices are much, much higher, right? And actually, uh, I would assume that finding properties that small is really not all that common, just because in America we know that we like bigger real estate most of the time. So my hometown, okay, I've just jumped over to Idaho. For the same type of property, you could get it anywhere between 100 and 300,000, right? So these are size. We're talking about size, not necessarily property type. Uh, and it's just an interesting outlook of how value is relative depending on what's available around you, and it's kind of it's like very well relatable to the situation here in Italy. And I'm going to show you right now, for example. I'm from this area right here, and now we're going to hop over to this. It's just actually just 2 hours down the road to a place called Jackson, Wyoming. There's literally only two properties of that size, 900,000 and 2.3 million. If you don't know Jackson, Wyoming, it's a very popular location for celebrities to own real estate for skiing purposes. And that area, when I was growing up, was already getting too expensive for the locals to afford. You either need to come in or have inherently a lot of wealth just to survive there. So people would start moving out into the other areas like Driggs, which is just over the pass over here. And this is Wyoming. I mean, nobody really thinks about Wyoming as having really expensive real estate, but Jackson is on that border on the mountain pass and has beautiful skiing. There are other locations in Idaho I could talk to you about, but that's not really the point. The point is to show you that even though something is very, very close, the value that is assigned to this real estate is very, very different. And I think I'm just repeating what people already know, but for some reason, when we talk about Italy, we don't think of it that way. I is at least what I'm seeing from like comments on the channel and just comments about Europe in general. This is Italy. This is kind of like a Zillow version, and you can see color coded uh, that I think I'm actually over top of it. I'm gonna move this over here. Oh, wrong one. What? So I'm going to move me. Yeah, let's do this to the other side here for a second. You guys are getting an inside look of what's going on here. Yeah, I'm pressing lots of the wrong buttons. Okay, so you can see here the colors are matched to the green being really low price per square meter and red that you don't really see being a really high price per square meter. And when you click on it, you can actually dig even deeper. So anybody who's really interested in using this kind of tool, there's this one on immobiliare.it or there is Idealista. They have this version. I like immobiliare.it, but Idealista is a little bit convenient because they also have English, I think, if you switch right here. But we're going to look at this one. And I'm going to show you, we're going to pull back over on our €1 home map here, and I'm going to show you in comparison that we have a green area, right? This, let me zoom in here. This is Sicily, and basically it's saying that it's less than 1,300 euros per square meter in general for real estate, right? So you could find properties in the millions in Sicily as well. Really depends on where you are and what it is. But the idea that there are €1 houses like 30 minutes away and this one is 2 million euros is it's strange for some people. For example, let's hop over here. Another kind of famous location for €1 homes is Sardinia. So if we go over, look at this island, it's not even green anymore. We have two €1 home areas. Now, there aren't as many. If we look at Sardinia, there's three, maybe four communities that jumped on the boat. But there are areas of Sardinia that they are mm, depopulating because of, you know, all the reasons that we talk about why they're depopulating. Uh, People moved away, maybe the birth rate's low, lots of different reasons. Maybe it's inconvenient to live in the historical center, but what all of it has in common is that there are these really small communities that are just looking for a way to stimulate their economy, right? Yeah, interesting anyway. So if we look over here in Puglia, I guess when you're looking for real estate, what I suggest is if you don't know where to go, what's the name of the site, please? Yeah, I'll put it in the description after the video, but it's immobiliare.it, IMMOBILIARE, which is the word for basically property, dot it, and then you have to press Prezzi Immobili, this button up here at the top. So I think you can read it right here, maybe. Yeah, it's this. So anyway, when you're looking for real estate, what I suggest is to come to a website like this, and if you're looking for cheap, then go to the green area, right? And it's not going to be definite because even I've searched, you hover over these areas. They say less than 1,300 euros per square meter. So does Puglia. But I can go to Puglia and find various locations in Puglia and find masseria, which are like old farm. They can be fortified or not, but farmhouses that are in the countryside that are in 1 million, 1.2, 2 million, 5 million, depending on the area you're in. If you get farther and farther down to the tip, outside of what we would consider like a touristic zone, then prices tend to drop. Or if you're in one of these really just nobody really considers it a valuable location, and so the real estate is cheap. if you can see, for example, I just clicked on Puglia. I've been talking a lot about Puglia recently, is why I've chosen this. Um, we have a red zone right here in the middle as compared to these other ones. So it's at the higher end of that 1,003, less than 1,300 euros per square meter. But there are still outliers inside that area that would not be that low. But as far as being for sale, perhaps, like I'm talking about this area, uh, you can see if I click on Monopoly directly, it's no longer less than 1,300 as an average. It is Monopoly is more expensive. So it's actually really important to also dig down even deeper inside of this, not just to trust, hey, Puglia is cheap. You need to find the areas that are cheaper inside of Puglia in order to determine real estate value. And so when we were discussing this hotel here, let's go up to the area that I found it in. Uh, we were in Veneto, and actually we were on the border of Trento and Veneto. And if I go back to the Italy point, we have, okay, we're reconnected. Botsano, okay, is a very, very high cost area, is what it looks like, 2,500 to 2,700 euros per square meter on average. But if I dig into that area a little bit, it actually gets worse. Bolzano, in this red area over here, actually, on average in this section, it's 5,800 euros per square meter. This is an area I spent a lot of time in that for those 2 days. Corvara di Badia and Badia in general, Badia, excuse me, for those of you who actually know anything, Badia. So another, and then the hotel I found was actually in these areas right here. It wasn't in the dark red, it was in one of these green ones. And so you can see I can get a pretty good idea of the median value of real estate uh, that is available. Rocca Pietore 1004, 1008. That's the actual example that I use. So when I hear that people say, that's way too much, it's like, well, compared to what? Are you comparing it to the 1 euro houses, or are you comparing it to your neighbor's house, right? Are you comparing it to some place in Manhattan, New York? What are you really comparing it to? It's relative. You can't just say, hey, that's too expensive. Real estate's too expensive. In general, we would all say real estate is too expensive if we're not investing in it. It can be a scary ordeal. Anyway, that in and of itself is a really strong example to me of why real estate is relative, or at least proof that it is relative. You can dig straight up using Zillow or other websites that show values, or at least historical purchase prices, things like that, to see what people are actually paying for it. Because in the end, it's what how useful is the property to me? And I guess this is what I want to extend it to. This is how I don't really match other investors, perhaps. I truly believe that, if the market says this property is worth 1 million, but I have an idea that could, to me, it makes it worth 1.2 million, then if I realize that idea, then it becomes 1.2 million. I think people do that all the time without realizing it when they're creating value inside the property. For example, someone buys a big apartment complex and builds a laundromat underneath that is coin operated, and they make extra revenue from that. Technically, the property just became more valuable. If in Italy nobody's investing, property becomes really, really cheap, right? And that's what happens in some of these areas. Everyone's investing in the red zones instead of the green zones. Now, if we can find ways to create value inside of these green zones, I think the green zones will improve regarding their economic situation. I think that was the whole goal of the 1 euro houses. And yeah, so I'm gonna at this point leave it up to questions. If anybody's even in here still, I haven't been watching the comments other than the one about the website. But go ahead. I'm gonna maybe give you 20, 30 seconds to go ahead and write some questions in there if you'd like. Now, again, this is just me. I'm just a regular investor. This is my family's basically vlog of how we're investing, and all summer long I've been trying to find real estate for us, and if it's also and recording it for you guys as well. So I really appreciate all of those who have been way supportive of this channel. I think it's kind of slowed a little bit down recently, and that's okay. That's how things are cyclical, right? I think most people were worried about the presidential situation, and there's lots of reasons, lots of other things in the world to watch. But if you do have a friend who is interested in real estate, I'd love to be able to meet more people that are interested in general with real estate because I learn a lot doing so. I was just listening to, I see some comments coming in, so we should focus on that. But I always learn more things from you guys, I think, than I actually share. The prices at Lake Como right now. All right, so let's start with that one. Let's use this as a reference, right? And you could literally do this yourself, but I'll do it with you. That's not a problem. I like Lake Como. First of all, to give you perspective, I live down in this one right here, 1,200, 1,400 euros per square meter. It's a place called Lodi. There are cheaper areas like Cremona and Pavia on average. But Como is up here. The Lake Como actually covers a big area, but there is an actual province called Como that you'll find here on this map. And yeah, here we go. Let's go in. Actually, let's go into the province first and look around the lake because Como is beautiful, but frankly, to be honest, Como or any of these other lakes on the northern Swiss side, Varese, Maggiore, or Garda, they're all really, really pretty. So here we go. It really depends on which area, right? If we want to look into some popular areas or maybe oops, I zoomed out. Here we go. I was trying to get to Lecco. This doesn't have a really convenient way of going back out a little bit. Right here on this tip of the lake, there is a community called Lecco. The prices are between, well, right there in the city would be about 1,900 euros per square meter. But if you can find real estate just up in the hill areas, you can get it down to 1,000, right? It's like half the price. You just have to find the right area, and hopefully there's not some kind of toxic factory, I don't know, that's been lost in the decades there. But that's just what we have to do our research about, right? So otherwise, Como, some of the more expensive areas of Como are Bellagio. Well, I was assuming more than that. Tremezzina looks like Griante, expensive, but there are areas just south of Bellagio that are in the 1,100 euro per square meter range. My wife currently lives in Slovenia, but we like Italy better. We're looking at Friuli, Venezia, Giulia to be close to them, but we're low budget. So if we're looking at that area, I hope that answers your question. You're more than welcome to jump in here on this website and look around for yourself. I know it's in Italian, but there's also idealista.it as well. So Friuli, Venezia, that pretty much, I don't know anything about that area. It's so far over, I've never even been there. I've been to Venezia, but I think that you could probably find pretty cheap real estate in the mountains if you wanted. I don't know what this area looks like, how mountainous or how inconvenient it is to live there, but I'm pretty sure you could find, look, these are less than 700 euros per square meters at times. So why don't you look at if you're a low budget, try to find a decent community inside of some of these greener colored areas. What do you think about Monferrato area in terms of long-term investment in order to renovate and sell the house in the future? So Monferrato, it was interesting because my first time being there was when I went and toured around. Um, it's actually in one of the cheapest area, next to one of the cheapest areas. Biella is, from what I understand, the cheapest area inside of Piemonte, and then Monferrato is down here, right below Vercelli. And these are all actually pretty much similar. You do need to do a bit of research because there was a asbestos plant that was in that area. Anyway, things are like asbestos is in the past, but there were some health problems in that area, and so that's potentially why people don't invest there for a while. But things like that do kind of go away over time, and if you're doing like a long-term scheme, it's a beautiful area. It's not necessarily in the tourist belt, so if you're going to invest there, my suggestion is to create ways of attracting people there, to be innovative. I think that's really what Italy needs mostly is innovation. So there are many innovative people, but most of the innovative people feel like they have to be in Milan, Torino, Venezia, Rome in order to be innovative. But I don't believe that. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, so thank you. You're welcome. Can you show on the map the region where you bought your first investment property? Sure. Let's look at the next one. High level, how about a lot to build a small home and maybe two RV spaces in Lazio Campania? Okay, boom. Let's start with where I bought. So it's right next to where I live. Got lost. Here we go. Lombardia. And then Milan's pretty expensive, but right on the southeast side, some people don't, I'll be honest, some people don't like the southeastern area, and I think those people have little patience for foreigners, but it's specific foreigners. It's a little bit of, sadly, a little bit of a racist thing. And I don't want to say they are necessarily racist, but it's just a different culture coming in to the area and they feel like it's not good for real estate value. But in my opinion, the reason that they come to this area is because the real estate is already cheaper. It's kind of like an agricultural area, and it when you're coming from a foreign country, I came from a foreign country, even if it was the United States. To me, being from Idaho, it was attractive to buy real estate where I could find something cheaper, paying cash for it and living debt free, right? So it's in this area right here, between there, right here, 1,200 euros per square meter is the area, Sant'Angelo Lodigiano. And technically 1,000, 1,100 euros. Either way, we rent the property out for to both properties for five. Well, I guess if you've seen my video, there's the one that my brother lives in right now, but we have two other properties in the same community that both rent out for 500 euros, including the HOA fee, which is very, very low. So yeah, 500 euros for a pretty low amount of cash invested. We actually did get a mortgage of 28,000 euros. It's like the smallest mortgage you could ever find. Pognano Lario. I actually don't know where that is. So let's search it like this. Pognana Lario. Oh, I skipped one. Sorry about the. Let me go back to building a small home. I personally, Regina, I kind of don't talk about building because I know that they incentivize remodels more than they incentivize new construction, from what I understand. And so I don't focus on it. So as far as finding a lot, that's the whole bureaucracy thing. If you get really good at understanding the situation or like what they would like you to do, then you can process new construction easier. Finding someone that has actually got a lot of experience, like an experienced builder with a good reputation, would be the better solution in Lazio or Campania. I'm going to get back to you on that one, Regina. I'm not going to spend time on this. I hope that's okay. We talk fairly often, so that should be all right. Pognana Lario is in the provincia di Como. Ah, okay. That's why you brought it up. Unfortunately, no, it's good. It's right here. It actually is a green zone, 1,500, 1,700 euros per square meter, but it is very close to a decently like valuable area. So uh, it looks like, I don't know, you must be following along on your computer. Let's see. Como itself is right here. And so what's interesting about this area, if you've ever been there, if you've never been there, is that there are so many tunnels, right? And then there are off of each tunnel there will be like a road that takes you up into this mountain community. And so there are so many communities up there that you just have to find something for sale there. I mean, you can search on even immobiliare.it, we could see what's for sale in that area. But it does look like a decent, at least a lower price compared to the surrounding area, but that might mean it's a little bit hard to reach compared to the other ones. So depending on based on the tunnels and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it does look like you might have a lake view though. That'd be pretty cool. So the you'd prefer the other lakes, Streza? Yeah, we were talking about that. I need to get up to Streza actually. So yeah, Monferrato got big houses, nice opportunities, but I think it would get more empty in the future. I think Christian is a little bit right for the short term, but I think it really just depends on if we can find some innovation. Obviously, there was innovation. They were doing asbestos roof panels there uh, before they knew that was a really bad thing, and that was the industry. And so that industry broke. People got afraid of the health problems, and they kind of moved out. And if someone else had some other brilliant innovative idea, then people would be drawn to it. But most of the time, new innovators are drawn to where the old innovators are. So it's actually up to us to break the cycle and to create jobs in other locations. It's nothing we can depend on other people to do for us. Anyway, if you wonder why I'm doing this, it's because my chat is down here. All right, anyway, thanks everybody. I think that's it for the questions for today, and I think that's a plenty long video. Um, I appreciate everybody hopping in here. Thanks for saying hi, Chicho. I don't want to mess that up, but I think I already did. Oh, one more question. Do you think it's better to renovate a rundown property yourself or hire a contractor? Well, let me tell you this. I'm going to be sharing a story about me trying to renovate a rundown property. It didn't go well. Doesn't mean I'm afraid to do it, but there are certain things that I think is necessary for a contractor to do. And I did all of this before I started sharing anything with everybody online. And I'll be honest, this is the reason, one of the greatest reasons that I do share online, because there's a certain attitude here about it. Don't worry about it. People won't check that. And I trusted somebody that I probably shouldn't have, and that's my fault. I was the ignorant one. And I don't want other people to be ignorant anymore. So this is why I'm here. Um, anyway, so to answer your question, if it's structural, it's better to have a contractor do it. If it is minor, like a minor renovation, even let me end by talking about this subject. When you do a remodel project, if it's more than painting or slight like tiling and plastering, you need a geometra to to signal it at the community, at the comune. And that geometra is not just somebody who draws the picture. He actually his job, the surveyor, is to actually take responsibility for the success for the success of the project. And so if something goes wrong on that project, it's his fault, and he could lose his license, honestly. So he could if he even, for example, I'll give you a small example. If he tries to do a project and there's an earthquake zone and he wasn't aware of it, and the thing is there's a situation where all he has to do is give notice that the project is going to happen, and the community has like 30, 60 days, 30 days, I think, to say no or to stop, or otherwise you can kind of go through with it depending on which category you choose. And so if they fill out this application, they don't catch it at the beginning and you go through with it and they catch it later, the geometra technically can get in trouble for not doing his job right. So there are certain structural things that you shouldn't try to take the responsibility upon yourself. Uh, and actually, you should trust Geometra definitely to manage that project, because you're going to have to ask permission anyway. He's going to or they are going to have to ask permission unless it's this very specific type of light remodel. And so I would say definitely get connected to a good contractor and not just necessarily the first guy who approaches you, because they might just they might not even have a business, a legitimate business, and paying under the table is actually a really highly penalized if you get caught doing it here. So I think that's good. Most of you seem to be a great, honest, no BS guy. Thanks. Anyway, Catasto. Yeah, Catasto, you're probably referring to the idea of what I was talking about with the building permission and all that kind of stuff, or what you have to draw. Anyway, yeah, that's the end of this video. Thanks for everyone. Otherwise, it's just going to be me talking for about nothing for a while. So I will see you later. Write in the comments after the video is over if you have any more questions, and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. I'd like to do this more often if you guys are into this kind of thing. Most of the time, YouTube viewers afterwards don't really get it. They don't understand that I'm doing like an FAQ or explaining something simple like this. But for you guys, it's worth it. See you. Check you later.